back to Road Dog Live. You can join the show by dialing 8888 Road Dog.
What do you say we all get together, go down to Walmart, and buy American? You think we could ever say that? Throw the kids up in the truck. We're going to go to Walmart. We're going to buy American.
You know, it's funny. I have this image in my head of like people running around China going to their, whatever the Chinese equivalent to Walmart is, going, I wish people would just buy stuff bought in this country, not from America.
I wonder if they buy Chinese goods in China.
I don't know. You would think, since the carding of it is pretty easy. Buy Chinese, buy Chinese.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm sure no matter what the country is, I'm sure we're not the only ones that are exclusive to like rednecks. I'm sure China has whatever their version of redneck is too.
Now, I really do like going to Walmart. You can get some great deals there. Anytime you think about electronics is some of the best prices you can get from Walmart. You can go in, if you like movies, for instance, you can go and they have a big movie bin for $5 DVDs.
And here's the thing, and maybe this ties into the topic a little bit, but one of the things about buying American, and I think it's a good idea. I mean, listen, if you look at the times when there was big-time manufacturing in this country, they've always been at the most prosperous times of the country. So I'm not for that, but what kind of sits with me as being a little bit theatric is people who claim to want to buy American all the time, but make that statement from their iPhone or from their computer. And I think you. I think to say I want to buy American is very easy to say. It's a stance that doesn't cost you anything, and it looks good to say that. But I think in reality, if you put a gun to anybody's head, regardless of what they said, if widget A cost $5 and widget B cost $50, but widget B was born in America, guess what? I'm sorry, widget 5 is getting that sale.
Yeah.
Every time.
Well,
every time. It's not even going to be close. Every time.
Let me tell you a little story, and this has to do with undergarments, Fruit of the Loom. And Fruit of the Loom had a plant in Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is just 75 miles north of where I sit. They were going to have their jobs shipped overseas, because any time you go to a clothing store, say you go to Kohl's, and I'm not going to pick on Kohl's, but anytime you go in there, you can get a shirt for $4 made in Taiwan or made in Indonesia, made in Brazil, made in Venezuela. But Fruit of the Loom had an opportunity to lose their jobs. The employees came in and bought that facility, and they are still manufacturing Fruit of the Loom in Bowling Green. Now, granted, the raw materials may come from overseas. I don't know where the cotton comes from, but they took it upon themselves to take a chance and continue to manufacture the product in the U.S. I'm always buying Fruit of the Loom because it helps the local economy. There's hundreds of people employed there, but I don't think you can find a lot of situations where that happens, because usually the folks sitting in the chairs are the outsourcers. And
right,
just like John was saying,
and that's absolutely true. And again, there's a fine line. Again, the easy people to blame in any scenario or crisis or downturn of life, the easy one to blame is always the government. But if you look at the profits that companies are making in this day and age, and you don't have to look any further than the New York Stock Exchange, where the Dow and various markets are at the highest they've been in 5, 6, 7 years now. That's telling you that these businesses are making money, yet the unemployment is stagnant and the productivity in this country is stagnant. So what that tells you is that these companies are keeping the money and they're looking for cost-cutting measures, and that means cutting employees or shipping jobs overseas. And that's the problem, is not enough people put the blame where it really needs to belong, and that's on the responsibility of corporations. That's a big problem in this country, probably bigger than any regulation from the government.
Well, now, do you think, in your personal opinion, that the current administration or any future administration could actually have an effect on that? Or is it due to the fact that that's how a an economy like ours, a capitalist economy, is set up.
I'll be a little more sinister than that. I just think the corporate interests have too much money and too much investment in the pockets of all politicians, even my politicians. You know, and again, I say that not as a partisan statement at all, but it's just system wide that these corporations have just way too much influence, and a lot of these congressional people, the guys in Congress, their constituency is to the big corporation rather than the people who actually live in their districts, and that's because of the money. You saw what happened when they changed the rules where corporations could put unlimited amounts of money into elections. Why do you think? What would be the purpose, Casey, of a corporation to want to put unlimited amounts of money into a campaign, especially, and they do it in campaigns that are out of the state that the corporation's even in? Why would they do that? Because they need people in their pockets to benefit their interests, not yours. Business for good or bad. The one thing that we could agree on business, Casey, is that business is not out for your best interest. Government is. And again, you could pick the government, again, not a partisan statement I'm saying, but that is the defining difference between being a businessman and being a politician, is that business does not have your best interest at heart, and politicians do. They serve the people. At least that's what they're supposed to do.
At the same time, they are taking campaign contributions from business
because it's allowed, and that decision came from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court deemed that is acceptable, and it's not acceptable. It's absolutely not acceptable. That's a big problem in this country, and they have to get these corporations in line.
Gotcha. Well, I'll tell you what, I think that if we started from the grassroots level and there was more shift in thinking when it came to it, and you had more small businesses that really cared for the communities they were in, and they didn't get too big, then it could be that there is some benefit and some scaling back of big business.
How do you support small business, though?
I don't even know.
It becomes impossible because you know what? If you have all good intentions, Casey, this is where I go back to my argument against big business here, is that they make it impossible also to support small business. If you're going to Casey Phillips electronic and hardware store in Nashville, Tennessee,
we got a sale going on, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, Fruit of the Loom's half off, I heard.
Go ahead. Sorry.
But there's no way that you're going to be able to compete with the prices that a big chain electronics store would be able to provide for you, and you're not going to. And that's why I'm saying. So it makes it very impossible to have to support small business. In my area alone, in past decades, when you think of the New York, New Jersey area and you think about the restaurant industry, you think, oh man, some of the best eating, some of the best restaurants are here in New York City, North Jersey, that kind of thing. But you know what? When I walk down Broadway, I don't see Joe's Restaurante. That I don't see anymore. I see, the big name places, and I can't find Joe's Restaurant for 50 miles of here.
You know what, though? Here's what would need to happen. I know, and this is all hypothetical, and that's where we're speaking, because I guess it's a pipe dream to think that we could get rid of all the big box stores, get rid of the nameplate restaurants, get rid of those entities that are driving down all the prices and suppliers and making sure their profits are so high to keep their stockholders happy, and go back to an America where it was the small guy that could win.
And again, this is the riddle that you and I go through round and round, and it's how do you solve it? I'll use a cliche here about putting the toothpaste back in the toothpaste tube, but we're already doing this. We're already long past that. Those days of the small business, they're over. Now, again, I sound like I'm getting on my high horse, against big business and against big corporations. But there's got to be a fine line. I'm not saying people can't make profits, and I don't know what to do, because I would actually be very uncomfortable with the government stepping in and making sure these companies have caps on profit or caps on hiring or spending. That's why I'm saying I don't have the answer, despite me being on that high horse. But there's got to be somewhere in the middle that's got to be met where this madness has to stop.
Gotcha. All right, we're talking about buying American, and that is something that I think would go a long way towards strengthening our economy. And so with the focus on the election that is going on right now, today, as a matter of fact, I just have an interest in what you guys think. Would you buy American, even if it cost double? Just knowing that it was made in small town America. And a little later on in the program, we'll get into the conversation, if we have time, about what that might do to freight rates, because obviously it's going to increase the amount of freight. It would increase the amount of freight if everything were manufactured using domestic resources as well, because now the resources have to get to the manufacturing, the manufactured product has to get to the retailer, so it could double the amount of freight out there. And it's all hypothetical. We're just here having fun, getting your opinions on it. Give us a call, 8888 Road Dogs, the number. We're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll go straight to your phone calls. Casey Phillips and Ritchie Olivieri on Road Dog Live, Sirius XM 106.